The last game of the day between Fnatic and WLYDE is here, but I'm missing my analyst. I'm missing my Freshbian. Fresh, what are you doing?
I'm looking, Anne. I'm looking.
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for where WLYDE might find their first win. Every other UL team's got one. It's not behind the desk. No, that's a lie. I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. Where's Fabian?
Where's that?
I don't know where he's got. Oh.
I've been digging for something positive about WLYDE. Came back empty-handed.
Nice spade.
I will say, going from a hammer to a shovel is a bit of a downgrade.
Yeah, I mean, it feels quite like a relegation. Fresh, you would know everything about that, having been relegated from UL once.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough times out here.
Yeah.
Hammer to shovel, relegated.
At least we got wins.
Yeah, at least we got wins.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. Well, I mean, let's get to it then. We'll talk about WLYDE first, of course. If you're looking for things about WLYDE, we'll speak to them about it a little bit as well. They had a really, really rough game yesterday. A 1-7 against Wolves. It is just not going their way.
I mean, it's not only against Wolves that they've been looking rough. They are lacking a lot, both in fragging power, but they also feel fairly outdated in their theory, I would say. It seems to be... It's hard to find stuff that you want to talk about with them because it just keeps being kind of a repetition of poor performance individually, strategically, theoretically. Just nothing seems to be clicking for them.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I guess that's why we've done a little bit at the start of this is we need to find a little bit of humor in this because the actual story is a little bit morbid for this team. I think, you know, they've really been struggling. They've not won a game. Like Fabian said, I think the strategy is behind. It definitely looks behind. Some of the strategies that they're pulling, some of the operators they're relying on, the way they're playing, they've got the lowest trade percent in the league. They're not playing as a team. The story can go on, but it gets very negative very fast.
Of course, there are a few positives, but they got an overtime. And of course, either if they lose today, they still will not be fully eliminated from making those playoffs, but something needs to change. However, the team and the organization seem to have faith in the process.
Yeah, they do. They put out, I think the owner of WLYDE put out a little statement yesterday. We've just got the start of it, which is never doubt the work, time, dedication that we committed building our 2024 R6 roster. Unlike 2023, our season have had a slower start, but I trust our process. Now, you can take a little bit of, I suppose, confidence in that, but I suppose we see this in regular sports, and this is the comparison I've got to draw, Fabian, is when we see this in regular sports, it usually means that somebody higher up has felt they've had to intervene to try and inspire some confidence or to try and somehow change a result.
Yeah, when there's like almost no confidence within the group, that's what you do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like it if someone I worked for when I was a player or a coach put out that statement, because it just speaks in all the wrong ways, I think.
Now, for Fnatic, their opponents, we've seen them have an OT win last week against ENCE. They had an off day after that. I bet they were hungry for more, but this team currently in the middle of the pack, we're looking at something for them to set themselves apart.
Yeah, but they have been very inconsistent because I was suspecting a lot of good things coming from this roster. I think that they picked up players to even out everything. Jags being picked up is such a good thing to do. And Tyrant, what a player he's been previously. He's had a rough start to his stage with Fnatic. And it just seems like some games they lose and like have no idea what to do together. They have no coordination, and it seems like the approach and the game plan seems just lost. And then other games, they look really, really solid. They have smart ideas. They come up with new things. Like take that D-pick run into the pit or into dirt on bank. And we're like, why is he running over there? But then we looked at it and we saw, this is genius. But why is there such a big difference?
I think it's the inconsistency within rounds, which we're seeing. However, if you look at their 3 games, they've hit 2 overtimes, 1 win, 1 loss, a clean victory, and then 1 clean loss. So I think in 3 games, they felt that they've controlled and could have won all of those games in regulation, especially the G2 and the ENCE ones, which they really should have. So we could be sat here talking about a team that's pushing for the top 2, but for some inconsistencies in rounds. So there's a lot to like, but there's a couple of things that they need to sort out. The main thing that I think is they take a lot of assumptions, particularly on their attack, and their information is a little bit lacking, which causes them to make some bad decisions.
And today's a great day for them to change this around. Because today is one of those games where you're going up against WLYDE, you're supposed to grab 3 points. If you don't, you're kind of losing out on it. So you should grab 3 points, and today is when you can send the message to everyone. It's like, okay, we've actually started to fix our things. We're now playing with confidence.
We have the head-to-head between these 2 teams, of course. There's stats on attack and defense, entry successes, entry conversation. It's been a big topic today.
Yeah, so I think, the entry conversation is absolutely, conversion is absolutely highlighted. And I think you can see why WLYDE on the right-hand side are maybe struggling. A lot of those stats is not good, particularly their defense win rate. On the Fnatic side, there is stuff to improve. And I think this tells the story for Fnatic. Those stats aren't up there with the top teams, but they're not far off. the one thing to note for you, if you're a Fnatic fan, as soon as your team gets the entry, which is why we harp on about Leon, stop giving the other team the entry, because if Fnatic have a 5v4, they're winning 76% of the rounds.
Yeah, and the numbers, yeah, they're not that high, but after today's game, they're definitely, I'm gonna say definitely, they're gonna see a boost, so we're gonna get closer to it. But it's
on
just
paper. If it happens on paper.
On paper. But it's just a constant work, and they are quite a fresh team. Let's give them some time. Let's allow them to have these hiccups, because it's not about the first 3 months of a project, it's about the year and the full year. And we haven't seen that much from Fnatic that we can judge them yet. Yeah, we're judging WLYDE on the same time, but it's from far away from each other.
Now, WLYDE as the organization have always beaten Fnatic and the former organizations when they met up in previous encounters. Now, I believe WLYDE on defense, of course, when they copy-paste that result, but they'll have to do it on Skyscraper this time.
Yeah, so for WLYDE, their map pool's looking a little bit short because all the high preferences maps, they keep playing, but they keep losing. So I'm not surprised to see them go to a new map altogether. This Fnatic roster, and I suppose old Koi, old Rogue, loved Skyscraper. So in the map bans, I suppose on preference, this is a Fnatic win. However, WLYDE have that redeeming factor that they do start on the defense, and they might be able to get out in front and try and hold on from there.
I mean, for WLYDE to win this game, they probably need to pull out 5 defenses, and this is a map where I actually think that they stand quite a good chance doing so. Because of Skyscraper's layout as a map, it's very hard to even enter the building, which means that when you might not have the gun skill to compete with your opponent, you can outplay them quite smartly with different positionings and setups that just basically force your opponent to make mistakes. So I think while they just do stand a chance today, how large that chance is, I wouldn't put any numbers on.
If I'm WLYDE, I'm trying something a little bit different because I know I'm starting on defense. I'm maybe banning away less of the power operators, keeping them open, and then playing at least
maybe
3 of the power operators.
Attack as well.
Yeah, exactly. Try and just make sure you get out in front on the defense and then kind of see yourself over the line. So keep your Fenrir's, Azamis, Solaces open as much as you can.
Okay, we'll have one more game of the day. As we said, of course, we'll bring our casters in for one more time, so we get to hear them, of course, talk about this game as it goes on. We'll welcome back Ollie and Demo. Now, we've seen Skyscraper already today. That was the full 15 round between BDS and Secret. Do you feel like this one's going to be different?
Oh, sorry, Anna. I was just looking. I was just trying to find WLYDE's first win. I thought that Fresh and Fabian might do some help, so I got myself a pair of binoculars, and I thought that I might join in. It seems like that's what everyone was doing here. I don't know. It's really up in the air, isn't it? I think the desk have broken it down really nicely. I want to see every team inside of EUL do really well, and I want to see these teams putting the work in and getting the results. I did feel like the tweet was a little bit weird. I did think it was, are they trying to sort of overcompensate here and give, the boys a little bit of belief, because, maybe that's what they need to get a couple of rounds here.
I don't know. I think Fnatic, it has to be there for them. 3 points at the moment for WLYDE is against them is just a given. You guys are sitting there looking for a while. I gave up after the first week, so I don't know why you guys still bothered looking.
When they win, this is going to blow up right in our faces, right?
Of course, but look, Fnatic going to be clear favorites. We know that for a fact, and consistencies have killed them. But let's hope, against an easier opponent, they can get the grips of it today.
Demo, do you think that Fnatic is going to do what I'm going to do to you right now on WLYDE?
Testing our C-key, apparently.
Anyways, I will set you two free from this and the shenanigans that are going on here. Please take us back to Skyscraper for the final game of the day.
Well, thank you very much to Anne. We always have a bit of a laugh here on the desk, Demo.
Always at my expense, though. There's one thing that I've noticed a lot. It's always, why always me?
Well, I think there's a lot of people that could be thinking, why always Clubhouse and Skyscraper? That's what we've gotten to tonight. We've seen 2 maps and 4 games. We are back where we started here. We've got Fnatic versus WLYDE. Well. We throw down. I mean, it feels like a while since we've been to Sky. I wouldn't have minded seeing a different map, but I'm not mad about it. I do like a Skyscraper. It's certainly going to test both of these 2 teams. Because as you've said already, and as the desk have said, consistency has been a bit of a problem for both sides.
Yeah, I think more so for Fnatic, where you look at the kind of scores. Even the losses that they had, obviously the overtime loss and regular loss, again, still close games. 7-3, we seen that Wolves game that they played. I think for periods of time, Fnatic were dominating Wolves, and then Fnatic just really struggled with the attacking aspect of Consulate. So, yeah, I mean, for Fnatic, obviously they're trying to get the grips with, getting new players into the system. Jags, Tyrant, obviously. I've also seen Jags up against his whole team. I think that's always a fun one to see. Canto up against some of the boys that you want to major with. The storylines are endless.
I was going to say
Tyrant Nello, there's another one.
It's littered, and it's always going to happen in EUL, right? And the further EUL goes in its lifespan, the more of this sort of these storylines that we're going to come up with, because players will move teams, players will have played with players that are on the other side. This one's beautiful though. There's a lot that it runs quite deep. You mentioned there's a little bit of the whole Pac Bull Nello thing. There's a little bit of Canto versus teams, opposing teammates that he lifted a major trophy with. So there's a lot going into this one. While they're going to be starting things off on the defense, Fnatic kicking things off on the attack. A Ying Solace ban from Fnatic, and on the other side, a Thermite Fenrir ban. So Thermite really not one that we see quite often removed, but of course it will make attacking that little bit more difficult.
Maybe mentioned they needed to do something like that just to give them as big of an advantage as they can start on the defense, and yeah, removing a hard breacher is going to do just that. So it will limit them, of course, to probably your ace. I wouldn't say you're going to see too much of Banner, if any. It'll be mostly just looking at your ace and also your hard breach gadgets, and also maybe your Maverick. I'm surprised that we're not seeing the Maverick being brought in, or equally, I'm surprised we're not seeing like a Bandit be brought in from Wild. We've seen how effective Bandit can be in Skyscraper in our earlier matchup between BDS and Secret. So yeah, shocked to see neither of the teams really, almost worrying about, Bandit worrying about, oh, just open up the walls, and then not having the Maverick Ace. There is a Bandit.
We do have a Valkyrie. We don't have a Valkyrie. We have a Jackal.
There you go.
I tell you what, it's getting to that time of the evening.
You're getting old, boy. That's the thing with you.
I'll tell you what it is. Jackal is a permaban in my stack, so it doesn't exist.
Well, you play with your Jack stacks. My stack is Ashe, believe it or not.
Oh, you ban the Ashe, do you?
We ban the Ashe, and then everyone says, oh, why are you banning Ashe? For that very reason. You wouldn't be complaining about it if you weren't crutching it.
I mean, that's true. Sweat. You've always been you always ban the crutch. We always just ban the annoyance, but Jigsaw going to miss out on an opportunity of Lolo there, as Wild are slowly but surely getting pushed back here. You don't quite have the same level of purification to run back into, and Jigsaw is going to pick up a cracking kill on the vertical there.
Patient.
If you know the players are going to be rotating back, get yourself underneath. You've got that secondary shotgun, and you can do a lot of work with that.
Oh, that was close. Very, very close. I think it's Nello on the Izami. Almost gets caught out. Canto. That's a great swing. Just catches Jigsaw by surprise on the staircase. Leon, what's he thinking of doing? Maybe goes up the staircase. He knows that one player is going to be stationed on the top of the stairs. That's going to be Pac Bull, who currently is dealing with Jags outside of Black Balcony. And that does give Leon the go-ahead to move up the stairs, knowing that the smoke has rotated away. A great shot from Leon there. Takes down the smoke. And just little by little, Fnatic just looking for these picks, just single-handedly trying to weaken the sight of Wild right now.
Well, they're not doing a bad job of it either. Jigsaw has fallen, but you're going to take that for taking out two of the defenders so far. And the Jackal's work's pretty much done now. You know where everyone is. Everyone's tucked in, trying to find whatever crevice they can get themselves into. Lolo going to find a nice kill over onto Deepek. The diffuser recovered now, but time running exceptionally low. Canto, he's below, and he's going to make his rotation up now to try and assist the rest of his team. Lolo, Nello both finding success here. Leon left with it all to do, and Nello picks up 2 inside of Geisha.
Wow, a good spin there for Wild. I mean, Nello was he was sat in Geisha the whole time, Ollie. We seen him starting to get bucked from below. Just barely missed him on the buck, and the kind of Jackal blow as well with the combo. But yeah, Fnatic, it didn't feel as though they ever had a kind of initial execute plan. Generally, if you look at teams who play Skyscraper, you're going to see like your Grims, your Ostas, for example, even your Monties. You looked at the lineup from Fnatic, it was very just get the kills orientated, wasn't it? It wasn't necessarily we're going to try and get this plant down. Or maybe that's what they're lacking there. Maybe they need some, big operator who will move in there and just ease, that plant and just get it down 9 times out of 10.
Bomb located by attackers.
Definitely the way to go. Wild forced into that rotation. Fnatic saw some success in the early part of the round, but as you mentioned, they just didn't have that bite when it came to that execute. Something that you really notice when it isn't present is something like a Capitao, a Ying, or a Grim.
5 seconds left.
And I comment on it because we didn't see one in the previous round. We don't see one here, but it's more than that, because you know you can bring things that do a similar thing, but it's never quite the same. And you need that disruption sometimes. You need that, you know, real displacement of defenders. Sometimes that's what it takes, but Fnatic not opting for it here. Displacement that they've gone for is going to be more along the lines of a Jackal and a Dokkaebi. The Jackal being a consistent pick over the first 2 rounds is definitely interesting as well. They're obviously expecting Wild to do some sort of roaming and obviously wanting to get Jigsaw in quite quickly. You can be a little bit more self-sufficient there, but look at that from Tyrant. Here's Kanto's phone blinging away, and he's going to immediately pop himself up the stairs and deal with it.
There's the power of the Dokkaebi. We know how strong she can be, usually a big contender for bans for certain teams. But in this matchup, it has been able to sneak its way through. And that means that Fnatic can play it at their leisure, of course. Leon in with the Brava, seeing if he can hack some of the cameras, and he will get that default camera, of course. He can check, see if anyone's in drum, and no one's there. So just, you know, little things like that, gaining that early information, just alleviates that stress of, oh, we have to go free drum now. Oh, it's, you know, that painstaking effort of going up against it. But as we can see from Wild, they're not really interested in drum. They just want to try and hunker down in sight, which I don't know if I fully agree with. I think you're giving up a lot of ground for not really taking anything off the attackers. You know, it just feels though Fnatic now, they're going to have a lot of time to really get this execute done on the site.
Barrier formed. Cuba deployed.
Time, of course, being something that they need here. Do have some things to get through. WLYDE will get destroyed from behind Tab. It was hacked by the Brava. Jigsaw got some red footprints below. No need to scan that one, buddy. Packbull gonna get taken down. Jigsaw turns his attention to those house stairs. Nello, phone ringing here.
Keep us sitting pretty.
Position given away as well. Tab still doing 360s inside of office, just trying to find the drones, make sure he's covered as best he can be. He does have the Kiba barricade there to help him. Deepek's framing up maybe for a bit of a hopping through Sword's window. Tyrant, he's gonna pick up one onto Lolo. Nello got an important shot to hit there, but is gonna miss. Can just dip himself back down the stairs, but you just get the feeling that the pressure is starting to mount now. Deepek, he's hopped in, eating one goo mine. He's gonna jump himself out and look to go again in the same location. Teb needs to have a big impact here. If he can pick up the player in drum and start a bit of a flank, that could be something, but he is going to miss his shots there. Wall now getting opened in between sight as well. Nello feeling the pinch here, gets one, but is immediately traded there. Teb, behind the 1 versus 3, tucked in behind Drinks, doesn't have anywhere to go.
Yeah, so already 2 rounds Fnatic have shown where they are just focused on getting kills. You know, it's so kill orientated, which is a little bit strange. Whenever you look at Deepek, it is widely regarded as one of the top support players we have in our region. To see them not, you know, try and go for that plant focus, which, you know, Fnatic have certainly been that, but to see them now go a little bit more gung-ho, which I think is probably down to the players that they picked up. You know, Jegs, killer. Tyrant, killer. You know, both of those players just want to kill anything that moves. Add on to, you know, Jigsaw as well, and we know what he's been able to do in the league and what he's showcased, of course, last stage. It makes a lot of sense for them to kind of shift their attention to more kill-orientated because it just suits their playstyle more as a team.
And it's one of the ways that you know you need to find success. You need to do what's best for your team and that playstyle. Fnatic showing that really well inside of round 2. Wild aren't going to opt for tea and karaoke again. Instead, they're going to take us down to kitchen barbecue. Largely the same in terms of top floor hold. You still need to try and hold on to that top floor for as long as possible, but you are going to give yourself a little bit more flexibility and a few more outs along the way. So you're not going to expect everybody necessarily to be playing up here. You could find some people over inside the house side, but for the most part, you want somebody inside a geisha. And you want a couple of people occupying those staircases. Oh, Tyrant. Unlucky, mate. Goes for 2 shots on the black eye camera, and his Twitch drone gets zapped before he can get that. Or the default.
It is unfortunate, but he does have a second one, of course. He can send in and go for take 2. And go for the bulletproof. Eliminates the bulletproof. Default cam gone, of course. If he can get the Valkyrie camera, and he does so. So better this time for the second Twitch drone, but still gets shot nonetheless. So he's out of Twitch drones. All he has now is the DMR, which, I mean, again, it's a good pickup whenever you know you're dealing with the Izami. We mentioned before that you can just break the Izami barriers using bullets. DMRs make very quick work of that.
We're not going to see Lolo pick up that opening kill there. Oh, it's like a nasty way to go. Tyrant's not had a great round there, has he? He's been done by a pixel.
Why don't I speak? Yes, speak. Oh, he can use DMR. No, don't even get to use that.
Doesn't even get to use it. He's been done by a pixel with the ACOG on the 9mm. He had a mare with the Twitch drone in the start of the round as well. Unfortunate stuff. Selma is going to get placed there, but probably shot straight away. He's going to allow a couple of points of damage to be taken onto that Kiva barricade, but it isn't really going to be enough to worry them too much. Fantastic C4 there onto Leon Gids. Kanto is going to find that one. Wild. They're just picking apart Fnatic one at a time here. Fnatic are going very one by one into this attack. Still got Jigsaw trying to work some magic on this vert. It's somewhere we've seen him play in the last couple of rounds. But there's not much for him here in round 3.
The way Fnatic have been playing, it's been so slow, and they're just waiting for Wild to walk into some of these crossfires. Wild are not giving them any chance at all of getting kills. They are not moving. They're playing very static, because they know that Fnatic themselves are playing very static. The best way to go against that is just don't move. If you don't move, you're not going to give them any picks, and then the whole game plan for Fnatic goes out the window. Which now you can see they have to try and start moving in, and this is where you can punish them with some of these angles that you have open above. You know, I think Wild have read into the Fnatic playstyle extremely well. It looks as though they're maybe going to try and get a flawless against them. There you go.
Packwell confirms that flawless round. Jigsaw still preoccupied with that vert inside a delivery, looking up into drum. You just get the feeling that you really get one of 2 teams that spawn into the server here with Fnatic. Either they've got that conviction and they can do that full map clear and take that control, or they just tend to go one at once. That's what we've seen so far in the 3 rounds, at least here on Skyscraper. They need to try and break that mold. They have picked up 1 round on the attack, which is good going by any metric, given, you know, the way that Skyscraper typically plays out. But they shouldn't be satisfied with just that, and I'm sure that they're not. They're going to be looking for a bit more here out of this first half. Wild, however, they can go back to where it all started, into tea and karaoke for round number 4.
See how they cope going back here. The Fnatic have to attack, of course. Again, I'm not really seeing, you know, the big operators that you would expect to see in terms of just creating chaos in the site. Again, it is very just run-of-the-mill stuff. However, though, Leon has maybe made me second-guess myself with the Amaru pick. Wonder what he's going to be looking for with that. Is it going to be a case of swinging in through karaoke? Is it going to be the case of going in through the bottom black window and try and gain early control? I don't really know yet. How often you see a Mario on Repel, is it?
I was going to say, it does seem quite counterintuitive, doesn't it, to Amaru's basic kit, that you're going to get an Amaru out there on the Repel. There's always the option later on into the round. You don't need to use the Gara hook in the first 30 seconds, but you just open yourself up to, you know, a little bit of vulnerability. Jigsaw, loving the Jackal pickup. He's on it again and occupying a very similar area inside the pantry. I mean, if you ever play Fnatic on this map, just hide down there and I'm sure you'd see a little bit of success. Does have some information here. Got the Legion on the track. It's going to be Jegs to shut down Kanto. Good info exchange there. Jigsaw, I mean, didn't really need to push on too aggressively to that. Jegs definitely had him. And it's a very efficient and clean way of clearing out that bottom floor.
Jigsaw now can just play that lurk roll again, where we've seen him in this kitchen before, just looking through the vertical angles, hoping that somebody from Wild will stick their head in towards those slats. But I mentioned before, if Wild can just sense the playstyle that Fnatic are going for and just don't give them anything, then it should be fine. But Jigsaw trying to take down Nello through the flooring without even exposing himself. But having that man advantage, I certainly feel for Fnatic is very strong right now. James will just walk in and win the engagement against the shotgun. Packball looks away to smoke up the stairs at the wrong time. Now Black Stairs will be in control of Fnatic.
Taken that very cleanly indeed. It hasn't cost Jegs a great deal at all. Nello is getting pressured from below. He had a big part to play in the round previously, round number 1, when we saw this site. Picked up 2 kills inside of Geisha. Little bit of a standoff here between Tyrant and Teb. Teb is going to be allowed to slip away though. Tyrant will still pose a threat on that backstab. With the man count the way that it is, Teb can't afford to be too far away from the site and the rest of his team here. He needs to be in position to try and make something happen. No C4 on the Warden. Instead, a deployable shield draw for this round, but it isn't going to matter anyway. Hey, taken down by Deepek. Lolo gonna need to make that DMR sing if you're trying to come away with anything here, but he's not even going to find one. Taken out from Karaoke Rebel. And a flawless round. Deepek picking up the final 2 there. We spoke of the Amaru at the start of the round. Didn't even really come down to that demo. No. It was just a good systematic clear there from Fnatic. They were able to pick Wild off one by one.
Yeah, same as what they were doing previously, wasn't it? Where it's just this very slow playstyle. What I will say though is obviously it's a slow playstyle. Everyone can see that. It's all well and good praising them whenever they're winning rounds, but I can't help but feel if they take that playstyle against another team, they're just going to get absolutely crushed. Because I think, you know, it comes back, I suppose DZ is probably the biggest comparison that we certainly have seen over the past year, Ollie, as we always say, DZ too slow, DZ too slow. It's more of a caution for another game. Right now it's working, but it's just maybe still a little bit too slow for Fnatic.
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb.
Yeah, I think they could, you know, they could... And in time, they maybe will speed things up a little bit. And the key thing about that round was they were able to really single out those individuals. You know, they singled Kanto out downstairs. It was a good little 2-piece from Jigsaw and Jegs. They were able to, you know, single players out. Jegs did a great job again, you know, getting the top light control, hitting the swing. Again, just good moments of singling out and using that information to their advantage. And Wild on the flip side just didn't really look too ready for it in most instances. See how they fare here inside of Exhibition and Office. But a good start already. I hate this drone hole when you're playing Brava. You can get in, but you've just got a 360
yeah, you got to spin yourself in, don't you? But like, look, it's working right now for them. That's already one Maestro camera hacked. Packball not switched on. It gives Tyrant control of it now. He can check the site and oh, filth. Pops the mirror window with the Maestro camera. A bad start for Wild to kick things off. We're already 30 seconds in and they've even lost a player.
Not the best start. Not impossible to recover from though either. I feel like watching the same round again and again from Jigsaw. It's like a clock. Just tick-tock. Downstairs, a little bit of it's the same stuff, you know, every single time. Well, it's obviously working to some degree. No one really standing head and shoulders at the moment. I guess you could look maybe toward Nello, 4 and 2. Is that a bit of a problem?
On Nello to pop
I was going to say,
there's an issue.
Is that a bit of a problem if you're looking toward Nello to pick up a couple of kills? You know, you're thinking about players like Teb, you're thinking about players like Kanto, and I mean, Teb hasn't got a kill yet so far, so definitely a little bit more to be had out of everyone in the server at this point. Kanto feeling the heat now. Doesn't really have an easy way out of this. Could hope to maybe pick himself up a kill. The goo mine is an early warning system. Will give him an indication as to someone being there and get a couple of shots in down long, but does he know he's getting pushed? He doesn't. Liam going to be in position to finish him off, and a good little pinch push there from Fnatic.
Yep, Skeleton Key on the new buck, of course, new buck bundle. Have to mention that, Ollie. Not biased or anything, because I may or may not have one. But it's working well for them. Yeah. It is fancy. But it is a 3 versus 5, and Wild now are starting to grasp at straws and have to try and find some kills. And a whole Teb picks up one onto Leon. A great reaction shot, but Leon was very low, but that's an even better one. Oh, and the third! One after another. Teb piles on the pressure to Fnatic. They said someone needs to step up. It just can't be Nello. Maybe it's Teb. A quad kill. Can he find the ace against Jags? two teammates up against each other. Packbull still in the mix as well. Jegs with the echo. Packbull buries his former teammate, but it was all Teb. A quad kill for him.
Well, what a play there from Teb. I commented on it at the start of the round. I always said, you know, we're after a bit more out of some of these players in the servers. Some people have been a little bit quiet. I wasn't expecting 4 kills out of Teb there. Played it exceptionally well. Fnatic, you know, they had the right idea. They were just trying to refrag him. They had his information. They had his location. They knew where he was going to be. But it just wasn't at the right time. It was a little bit one by one. And to be fair to him, Teb hit his shots. A lot of those shots, they felt like... You get a lot of this now with the way that the ADS system is. They feel like hip-fire headshots where the crosshair placement's just so perfect that you've not quite got into ADS yet, and it's a headshot already because you start shooting before the ADS comes up just because of the changes and everything being a little bit slower. So great stuff there from Teb. Really a good way to get himself onto the scoreboard, and he's put himself positive after 1 round demo.
He has. He turned the ship around in good fashion. But Fnatic just couldn't finish their dinner, essentially, could they? They knew where he was, and they sent so many players after it. Realistically, it should have been the guy swinging in from the breach to put that to bed. You know, that should have been the kill for me, but somehow Teb wins it. And then from there, it was just, yeah, it's just over at that stage. Teb has the confidence, can swing another, pick up another kill. Leaves Jegs in an awful position, but that's going to be, again, this is where the inconsistencies that we've kind of mentioned. That's probably why Fnatic haven't, you know, they haven't been up there challenging for number 1 and number 2. It's because of things like that, you know, little mishaps that happen in the round that just throw them off. It's the inconsistencies.
Cover me! Reloading!
And that's what they need to try and nail down. We talk about some of the best teams, and one of the reasons that they are so good and regarded as the best is that you know roughly what you're going to get with them. You're going to get a nice consistent roster. You're going to get a nice consistent performance out of people on the roster. I think whenever I think of consistency, and it doesn't really ring true as much anymore, but a team like VP would always come to mind because they have been a very consistent team. Obviously, that isn't necessarily the case at the moment based on the current EOR standings. They've not been great this stage. But it's that kind of vibe when you find a team that jives and stuff like that. BDS kind of are moving into that consistent space as well with the performances that they've been putting through. You know, very few mistakes. It's really what you want to look for.
Oh, Jigsaw. Good information, spots out a player. Actually, a lone player in the site. I think he is. I think Nello's the only person in the bomb site. Everyone else is located upstairs at the moment. I wonder if Fnatic maybe could take advantage of that, but it is risky, of course, with a hatch open, the vertical angles being up as well. Tyrant is in a position where he can maybe try and do so. That is close. And Nello, you have Impact, mate. Impact would kill him, but he doesn't know that. One Impact would send Tyrant to the grave, but Nello not wanting to risk that at the moment. Instead, will Impact an opening in through that wall and fires at the second one. Oh, he's going to kick himself with Tyrant. Kills the man, he does. Oh, you can't write this stuff. He could have killed with an Impact, and he ends up dying himself.
Very scrappy exchange there, and Fnatic coming out on top. Near the dregs of a dough could be called there, just ringing through. Teb knows that someone's downstairs inside a restaurant. Doesn't want to commit to it too much, though. Wants to force Fnatic into those hard yards up the staircases if they so wish. Of course, they could go outside and try and clear, but with the site being Kitchen Barbecue, they're pretty focused on this one dimension, looking to try and get themselves in, and there might be a bit of space for a plant here. Leon, here's someone there at the top of these black stairs. He's drawn for the shotgun, puts a few points of damage down, and eventually gets the kill. Deepek is confirmed that diffuser. Teb with a drop. It's going to be too late. He too will get taken down, and Packbull left upstairs, unable to deny the plant vertically, either through lack of line of sight or being too preoccupied. He's now got a very difficult task ahead of him. Knows where the diffuser is. He's got some tough angles to challenge onto, and Leon, he's gonna be hiding there just inside a restaurant. Perfect swing onto the bottom of those black stairs.
All of that really stemmed, Ollie, from them droning out the single player in sight, putting a lot of resources into killing that player in sight, and once he dies, they just go in and go for the plant. because they know there's no one else there. You have to give credit to Fnatic for that early opportunity spotting from Jigsaw just drone out the site, seeing that there's only one guy there, and then you make a plan based off that. I think very strong showing there for Fnatic, and they took 3 rounds on Skyscraper attack. They took 3 rounds, Ollie. We're sitting there praising, you know, Secret for getting 2 rounds against BDS. You have to praise Fnatic. You know, 3 rounds of Skyscraper attack. This sets them up extremely well, especially considering, you know, the track record of attacks from Wild, which have not been strong this season.
Yeah, I don't even think it really matters who you're going up against, because in some instances as attackers, you're kind of going up against the map. So for Fnatic to come away with 3, they've done a great job there. You can context that and say it was 3 against Wild, who haven't looked as strong as some of the other teams inside of the league, but they've still got in there and got the job done. They've got to do something as an attacker, and they've done exactly that. Great to see a plant go down in that final round. Good focus. I was a little bit hesitant. I wasn't sure on the vert, but I think the retake from Leon up those black stairs worked fantastically with Deepek getting the plan down. It was the perfect distraction, because they needed something just to, you know, unsettle those players working that vert. And that's exactly what it was. An even split then as we move into Wild's attacking half here on Skyscraper.
Look at the kill spread, Ollie. That's probably one of the most even scoreboards I've seen in a long time. You know, everyone on the board, everyone getting kills, nobody breaking away from the pack. That's a great shot, has to be said, from Kanto, though. Using that buck. I wonder if he has a Fnatic skin on, I wonder. But Leon has to be careful. He knows somebody will be knocking on those staircases momentarily, as Wild have got themselves in below. I mean, you look at the lineup from Wild. This is what I mean with these kind of impact operators. Very different than what Fnatic were bringing. You're seeing Capitao. You're seeing it also be brought in. Operators that are going to be there to designate, to get down the plant. You know, they are going to be there for that purpose and that purpose only. Tyrant will use both of his impacts. Takes 1 shield with him. Takes a lot of damage, though, for it. Leon, he's not going to be in a great shape now, as he's getting hit by everything, including the helicopter. The shield is going to be there as well. Leon, what are you doing? Drop shots. Looks as though that the Ossa has been dealt with, though, Ollie. That's a big pick. And somehow Leon's alive. He's been able to get revived. What is going on?
A Saving Private Ryan operation right there to get Leon back on his feet. Bless him, he was trying to throw all of his Toxic Babe canisters out before he perished. He knew it was coming. Just goes to show the difference in pace here and how aggressive the start of these rounds can be. Leon does need to be careful, but can't dodge everything. He can't dodge the fire and the angle coming through from Karaoke Repel. Teb done a good job there. The Capital bolts giving him the assist on that one. Jigsaw is tucked here inside a Geisha.
I think this in
has been droned here, and I mean the noise alone will give the game away. It's quite a bit to worry about really for Tyrant and Jigsaw here, and not only that, but look at Lolo's positioning. He's going to be tracking with Deimos from below. Of course, you do get to know Deimos' location as well, so that can kind of play into Fnatic's advantage. They know where he is, they know where he isn't. Nello going to pick up the kill onto Tyrant. Jigsaw got a whole lot to do from this position. Misses a couple of shots, and Teb eventually finishes him off. We talk about those impact operators, Demo. Capitao, and we saw the bees as well. We saw Grim. You know, we were kind of asking for one of those 2 to be brought on some of the attacks from Fnatic. Now, they got 3 attack rounds, so, you know, what are we to know? But look at what it enables, the play style that you're able to create off the back of it.
Yeah, it came down to kills whenever Fnatic were playing. It was more so they won the round based on positional sense, and team coordination just established these really dangerous crossfires. Wild was just chaos. Bring in the Ossa. Okay, Ossa's going to be fighting against 20 impacts, 50 smoke grenades, and a C4 just for boot, you know? Then, you know, you add in the Deimos, which helped them out a lot in that 2v3. You know, the fact that Deimos can just pretty much just checkmate one defender, it then kind of leaves the other guy in a 1v2 almost, because you know that your teammate is just, he's out of it. He can't do anything. They know exactly where he is at all times. And then he just has to go against the 1v2, which, you know, just, it's a lot tougher, I think, to play the 1v2 rather than the 2v3. I think everyone knows that. So, yeah, those power operators have really hit the mark there for Wild. And, yeah, we'll see if Fnatic, are they going to go more gung-ho? Are they going to really try and get into the faces of Wild, which is essentially what they did? You know, that battle on top black was just based on, we have to destroy the Ossa shields. We have to destroy the Ossa shields. That was the main thing for them.
Yeah, and sometimes you can get tunnel visioned in that focus. We are in a tech pause at the moment. Of course, the defining difference between a tech pause and a tactical pause is that players aren't allowed to talk to each other during a tech, but a tactical is, well, it is allowed, should I say. But it can get all a little bit confusing. I think hopefully we'll be getting underway shortly. The players are all good in getting back into the lobby or doing whatever it is that they need to do. Quite a awkward time, really. You start to get the feeling that, you know, WLYDE are gaining a little bit of momentum in the fixture. You know, we're over the halfway point of it now. We're 4-3, so getting toward that that precipice of when, you know, teams start thinking about being on that match point and what sites they've got coming up in the rotation to try and be able to convert onto that. Quick scroll of Twitter for Teb potentially. Get those social engagement views in. What's your go-to demo during a forced technical?
What go-to? Like what do I do?
Yeah, like go-to thought process. You know, what are you doing to pass the time?
Just stay locked in, I guess.
Stay locked.
Yeah.
Like pause and everything. Like you don't even move your feet, or is it time for a little bit of a stretch?
I mean, I always look at Tyrant and think I want to be like him. Just his back is permanent shrimp pause, so I follow suit. You know, Peter Bolt, he's out in the living room right now. He's trying to stay locked as best as he can, but maybe the mother has EastEnders in the background. It might be putting him off. We don't know.
I think we're still in firm agreement that Leon's got the best player camera. I mean, look at it. How can you not enjoy that?
The big light bulb at the back.
Acoustic panels and the beautiful side. I do believe we are going to go to a short break while we get this fixed. It doesn't seem to be something that we can get fixed quickly, but as soon as it is ready, we will be back with you very shortly.
If I remember correctly, it's Skies who was telling to Jax to run out because he was playing in the second floor of the big tower. He was just baiting them for Jax to run out, and he could get both of them, but he got only one.
And actually now they're like they lost a breacher. They have to rotate, so now we have like the advantage. We still have the top and stuff, so. Like we knew that they had like lost one breacher, and we knew that like they can't open anything. Just like they opened the main at the beginning with the ace, so we knew that they had or like to come on the top or to come like dining. So like that's why we were waiting there. They just pushed with the Osa. The Osa was like kind of like against us since we can't really kill the guy. And I think I just choked the 1v2. I just picked and I should not have picked.
We choked the map. It's okay, there is like three maps remaining, so let's just focus on the next map and we will talk about it after the match.
Like we knew that like every time on attack they were like baiting outside with like Brava and stuff like Twitch and stuff like this, so we knew that we just had to wait them, and like we know that we are better in gunfight, so we just wait them and play together like in cross and stuff like this.
Yeah, we wanted to make them waste their time. We knew that they love to take CC control when they push on border, so I was just there wasting time, and then we fall back when we get a kill or 1 minute and stuff.
Like if we see like 1 minute, I just drop from T1 like just to waste time. I got killed like the wrong timing. So now they have top, but like we still have C4s, and they have only like 50 sec, but it's kind of like free for us.
Yeah, we just gave them space.
I think we had the Valky cam like on the. We had the Valky cam I think on like office. That's why like we asked him to flank, and that's where like we win the round. Yeah, and one of the reasons why we are leaving top floor is that they can
I can flank with Oryx on the hatches, so it's okay if we let them have top floor control.
Yeah, that was part of the plan at the beginning.
We just sounds like we know how they play, we know what to do. Just do our basic stuff and we will win.
Siege the moment demo.
Siege the moment.
Siege the moment. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for bearing with us during that short break. I do believe we have got everybody back inside of the lobby now. Doesn't appear that we had to have a rehost, which is good. Of course, we do keep all of the kills and stuff like that up, so we can still comment on players' performances, and no one at home has to remember anything too much. So 4-3 is where we return. Wild, they've edged a lead here. Neither team has led by more than 2 rounds so far. It's been a very hotly contested game up until this point. Both teams trading blows. Wild successful attacking into T and Karaoke, and as such, we are going to see a site change here from Fnatic. They're going to go into Exhibition and Office, and they're going to try and hold over there instead.
Yeah, they're going to switch it up and see maybe if this site is more fortuitous to them, but again, I think the way that Wild have been playing, these kind of impact operators that I keep liking to mention, they have the Grim, they have the Monty this time around as well, Ollie, so it's always a big scary threat. As I said before, S-tier operator in my books can go passive, can go aggressive. Being able to get kills now with a shield is... Oh, well, you can't kill people with the shield, but being able to knock them over is a lot more safer. And then just simply shooting them in the head with the pistol. Swapping mags! And also another underrated thing as well, Ollie, is being able to throw smoke grenades behind your shield without exposing your head.
Yeah, absolutely. You can do a lot of actions from behind the shield now. You can reload your pistol, you can throw smokes. There's a lot more that you can do. It's far more flexible than it ever used to be. And then, of course, you see the charge down effect as well, which we've already seen tonight twice. And it's pretty devastating. There's no real way out. I think the Monty's got to mess up pretty substantially.
Blitz is back, by the way.
Are we back on Blitz?
He can hide his feet again, so Blitz is back. My prayers have been answered.
I mean, it's good news and bad news. I think it's good news for the people that like Blitz. It's bad news for the people that don't.
There's only one person who likes Blitz. That's me.
Yeah, there's not many of them. You're part of a select club. Backbull going to kick things off with an opening pick onto Jigsaw. So those goo mines that regenerate over time are to be no more. Although you should have a good portion of them out at this point. You're still not going to have the gun when it really matters. Wild as such are able to push up and really start to contest for a bit of control here.
This is good information from Nello, can just feed that through, and Jags can't really do much against them. Teb, though, is being taken out from below. Tyrant on alert. He does have a C4, although he could maybe try and get a C4 kill in towards Drum if somebody is stationed towards the door. Just pop the C4 and hopefully get a kill. Speaking of C4s, Deepak has just used his and attempt to eliminate Packbull, but Lalo has found Deepak instead, and there goes the C4 from Tyrant as expected.
Scanning for electronic devices.
Wild do need to be cautious here. There's only 30 seconds left. Whilst they do have the Monty, it does mean that they lack a gun when it really matters. They haven't been successful in getting open that VIP wall yet, and Lolo's going to take a ton of damage here. Not much gonna stop him now. Nello gonna try and de-shield and do something about Jegs, but the impact's coming through. He's desperately trying to protect his teammate there. Tyrant eventually gonna take him. Jegs with the full ring around the Rosie there. Nello picks one. Leon with a successful C4. Tyrant's just gonna try and stay alive here. He knows that Nello has to plant the diffuser and he can hit that rotate along with Leon. Easy as you like. Oh, you gotta get around the shield. But still easy enough there for Tyrant to close that one out.
Yeah, it was. Tyrant was really the player you have to highlight and look at what he did in that round. So, first of all, it was obviously a very kind of direct take, you know, sweeping across from Wild. They weren't really looking towards the main breach or even the single breach for that matter. They were just pushing in from Drum, pushing in from Terrace. That was their game plan, right? Works well with the Monty. They got opening pick, works even better. The issue that they had is that the player that they sent below to deny C4s loses that engagement. Whenever that player falls, you as a team then need to make a reactive decision. You either send more people downstairs to kill that player below, or you just try and push in the site quick before those C4s go off. They did neither. They stood still, they were static. And the C4s went in, the C4s were getting kills. And that's really how Fnatic won the round, was they were able to kill the guy below and then kill even more people by having access to below. I said before, Tyrant could just go below and C4 them. That's exactly what he did. So that was the decision there for a while. You either go quick or you go downstairs and hunt that guy and stop him from C4ing.
Yeah, you've got to do one of the two there. You really can't commit to doing both. And I think Wild just, they fell the victim to early success, and I think they maybe just got a little bit too far ahead of themselves. But on the flip side, you could say that Fnatic reacted well to try and drag things back, which they also did. Back into T and Karaoke now. We still have a lot of those impact operators that we were speaking about earlier, and we'll continue to speak about. We've got both Capital and Grim. We also have a Glaz, so I don't know. There's a point for me, Demo, where you maybe start to do a little bit too much. Now, we don't know what Wild's plan is yet, but is there a worry and a concern that there's maybe just a little bit too much going on, as if you're going to bring the Glaz as well, and look to try and get value out of that?
I think it's a great homage to Hungary. You know, that's what I think. Oh, yeah. That breach is dead. He still has one more Selma that he can use, but my word, look at that breach. That is a horror show for the most part. So I would say Nell will have to use the next one, but then the issue is there's still 5 more impacts. The impact trick is going to absolutely mud them this round. So yeah, they need to go big with this Glaz Ollie. They need to, and they might try and do so right now. It looks as though that actually they have got the wall open, have they? Yes, they have. There's no impact trick to be seen from Fnatic, which is the surprise. And Lolo just jumps in. They know he's in, and he's on a sliver of HP left. He has got semi-decent control of Geisha right now. Leon, though, eliminates Packbull. There goes your Glaz.
Lolo, for all the control that he's got, he's not in a position to take a gunfight. Teb as well isn't really looking too healthy. He's going to try and smoke off and go for a hop in. He's going to be allowed safe passage, and he can join up here with Lolo. There is going to be information available, and that means one thing. It means that Fnatic know that there's 2 players here inside of Geisha for sure. Nello needs to try and relieve some of this pressure right now, because there's no real way of these guys moving. The diffuser, it's going to be cold, and I think it's a little bit further than the siren, maybe at the top of Shrine. Nello will re-pick that up and gather his thoughts for a second. No, it was out on side of the black balcony. Some real tough challenges to happen now. Nello is going to find the first one there over onto Leon. That should open things up a little bit, at least for him and Kanto to start getting a bit of control over on that T and Black Stairs side of things.
Fnatic don't look pressured at all, in my opinion, Ollie. They're more than happy to give Wild Geisha control because they know they can just play below with the C4s. Deepek lurking down there, has it in the back pocket. Nello will rush in towards Karaoke. Surely there has to be some form of information from a Valkyrie there. Leon is on a camera. Will the C4 come in? Is Deepek in a position? It looks as though he's used it already. He's actually down Nello instead. Didn't finish him off, but now Teb has to clutch up, but he can't do so. It's actually Tyrant with the impact. It wasn't Deepek at all with the C4s. Tyrant just threw the nades at him. Everything being put in to stop that plant. I mean, that's just great decision making from Fnatic. Knowing that they have all the information, they have plenty of denial with C4s with impacts. They just sit back, let Wild almost sit in the sauna, just let them sweat it out.
Absolutely. Wild kind of got themselves into a little bit of hot water there. They managed to get gauge control, but it was the cost. You know, Fnatic knew exactly where they were. There was a Valkyrie camera on them. Both players were damaged on the way. Oh, I think Teb got in for free, but I know that Lolo got put to like 1 HP on his hop in. So yeah, you've got Geisha, but you can't really do anything with it. You can't, you know, you can take a gunfight, but you know that that gunfight is going to be a real difficult one to win. And I think Fnatic did a good job of giving away a little bit of control, and it was almost a bit of an exchange. It was like, yeah, you can have Geisha, we'll rotate downstairs. And Deepek was ready with the C4. Turns out wasn't even needed. Maybe you could have, you know, had a bit more out of Kanto and Nello on that Black Stairs side. But with the way that Fnatic were, the way that Wild were fairly split up, you maybe got to ask the question. I think it was Packbull that died on the Karaoke window. Kind of got to replace that player on Karaoke, because that is what really cuts through everything. You know, it cuts through Karaoke, get a bit of an angle onto Geisha, you cut through into T, you get the top of Black Stairs. Like, you get quite a lot from that position. And maybe it was, you know, would have been better for them to rotate and get somebody on that location and sort of replace where Packbull was.
So Fnatic in the lead. You mentioned before, Ollie, that nobody has kind of ran away with the lead in terms of round difference.
bomb has been located.
Fnatic, maybe this is where they can put the afterburners on and see them over the line and get a 2-round lead up against Wild. You see, I mean, kind of double shields. You have the Monty and the Ossa, and I honestly think Packball's here to almost eat up the impact grenades for Nello. You know, that was the issue that the last time they played the Ossa was impact, C4s, everything was being thrown at them. Now the Monty can just soak up all that utility. Packball goes for the aggressive play and gets Deepek. I don't know how he's got away with that. Nobody from Fnatic holding a cover on towards that top floor. Oh my word. I love it. Love to see it from Packball.
If you see a Monty in this day and age, just run, because you know that there's a world of hurt coming your way. Packball's got himself in, but the Maestro camera is going to do him in. It will eventually get taken out, and Packball can start to try and reattempt this plan, but can Jegs find the angle? He can't find it. He's going to let this plan go down. There's nothing he can do. Packball gets taken out, but damage done. 4 versus 3. Jigsaw, he's low. Leon first to be taken out inside of the post by Lolo. Jegs, he has to try and drop here and do something. He has to try and find a kill, but Jigsaw falling, it is not going to be easy. 1 versus 4 in a post with 20 seconds left on the clock. You really don't fancy poor old Jegs' chances here. Lolo, he's going to clean him up there from deep inside a restaurant. A great round there from Wild. I love the play from Packball on the Monty. You could see he was kind of eyeing up Deepek there at the top of those black stairs, and it just got to a point where he was like, yep, I've got to go for this. Yep. And boom, you get sent flying onto your back. Brilliant stuff.
The thing is, that play was really made from Packball doing that play. You know, I don't think it would have been, I don't think that was the original idea, was to, you know, get in there as quick as what they did and just get the plant down within a minute. I would say probably the idea was, let's get the Monty in, we'll put the shields ready, and we'll just slowly start to push them out. We'll slowly start to burn utility. Then we can get the Ossa set up for the flank. Then we'll move down with the Monty. But to see the Monty just run across an open corridor, push Deepek the way he has, and then just play off that, yeah, it's exceptional.
Attackers are activated.
I'd like to think that that's a planned position as well, knowing that there's no angle on.
Oh, that's definitely planted, because they use the Ossa in that scenario as the flank coverage, because you set this up the stairs with a shield, you can't do anything against it. So
and then they knew that there was no way that you can get an angle onto that from upstairs. So great pocket play there from Wild, or a great heads up play, you could say. It's maybe not quite a pocket, but 5-5. We enter some dangerous territory for both these two teams. The story of the evening so far has been points, with the league as tightly knit as it is, and with only a 2-point difference between 2nd and 5th place, it does make things quite tricky indeed. In fact, it's worse now, isn't it? It's a 2-point difference between 2nd and 6th place. Fnatic currently sat on 6 points. Wild currently sat on 1. I think both teams would welcome a full 3 points out of this fixture. It would certainly do a lot more for Fnatic in this current stage of the league, given that there's still a chance for them to make a little bit of a run. I think for Wild, you'd have to look at the numbers, but it'd be a lot more difficult. Who is going to put themselves onto a map point first, Demo?
A lot on the line. We'll see who gets at least a point out of this game, as it determines, of course, this next round, and see if it's 6-5 Fnatic or 6-5 to Wild. Jig's already taking a bit of a beating there. Half of HP is gone, and that's just from angles being held. Look at that from Kanto. A long angle, that. But one thing I will say about both sides, especially whenever we're dealing, you know, with the office defense, neither team have really wanted to defend drum. Very different than what we've seen from Secret and BDS, where a lot of the rounds were like living and breathing on who was holding drum at times.
Yeah, drum was often that point that you'd kind of retreat back to at the midway point and look to hold a little bit further. Yeah, it was the second wave, wasn't it? And it's kind of just been given away for free here. It's still taken Wild a couple of minutes to get up into this position, but it hasn't cost them much at all. You look at the utility they've got all the nades, they've got all the flashes, they've used a Dokkaebi call, and they've got all the beasts. So you look at it on the balance things and you go, well, you know, it's probably not too bad. That's one of the advantages of being able to throw things from behind the shield right there. Monty throwing that impact EMP and allowing the wall to be open, but it isn't going to come for free. It is going to be paid for. Teb, he's going to pick the opening kill onto Tyrant and then get traded out by Jegs. Look at the ground Nello is able to take here. Maybe not quite as aggressive as Packball on the Monty, but you've still got to give it a little bit of respect.
Just the information and the fact that he can check all these corners, it makes life so much easier for his teammates. And the Grim also starts to move in. That's a great swing, though, from Deepak. However, more players are falling for Fnatic. Deepak needs to be careful. Oh, Nello, what are you doing? However, it has forced Deepak out of the site into a 1v2. He has diffuser to a C4, will eliminate one. Deepak on for the clutch. Lolo finds his leg, though. Oh, what an attempt from Deepak. What a close round. I have no words.
Oh, my goodness. I could see that going horribly wrong for Wild.
All over like he's alive.
I could see it going beautifully well for Deepak. It was nearly an incredible clutch. We saw Nello panicked, bottled it on the Monty, you could say.
Oh.
Deepak, he wasn't getting caught by that twice. Packball's already had his life a couple of rounds ago doing exactly that. Nello wasn't on his A game at all there on the Monty. You can see Packball chuckling away.
Did he have diffuser or was it the Grim?
No, he didn't have diffuser. I think
it was the Grim, wasn't it? Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know why we didn't. I'm saying we. I don't know why Wild didn't plant there.
You part of Wild? You back from staff that we didn't know
No,
about?
but I'm used to this little debrief after things go horribly wrong, and I'm wondering why the plan didn't go down. Why we tried to rely on someone to clutch it out. Because as soon as you see Deepak pull the C4 and the two players buddy up inside of the doorway, it's like, I've been here before. We've already seen one double C4 tonight. I don't know if I can take seeing another. So yeah, maybe look over that again, and we'll be able to see from here the diffuser is in Nello's hand, so he does have it. I'm not sure if he did drop it at some point, but no, he didn't do it. He had it all the way.
Yeah. There you go. I mean, at that stage, you have to then question Nello. If they lose that round, I would not want to be Nello, because you'll be getting clowned on.
Absolutely.
But see that Lolo just backpedaled there, just ever so slightly, and got him out of the radius. That was.
He still took a chunk of damage. I think he still took 75% damage from it.
Yeah. He definitely did. But just that little backpedal just got him out of the death radius. Look, one thing about Wild, though, even though it was a bit of a kerfuffle there at the end, I like the fact that they appreciated the respect that they gave the Fnatic, and they needed to go and hunt that guy below. You know, we've seen Teb versus Tyrant. Look what Tyrant did to them last time with the C4 from below. This time, Teb goes down and deals with that C4 player.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb.
And that's the difference, isn't it? Teb got traded pretty quickly. But
he took out the C4. That was the big thing.
He did the job. He got the opening pick, didn't he? And that was really all that they asked for. And guess what? Guarantees Wild a point. They'll take that.
Yeah. We're going to run it back, though, Wally.
How come?
Because we're back to the same site.
Oh, right. I thought you were saying we were going to run it back and like end up going to an overtime or something.
Oh, I mean, we definitely could. And there's no Monty this time for Wild, which I'm surprised that they switched off. I thought Nello did a brilliant job at just gaining control. He did.
No, he did. He did to a point. And then I think he just thought he was him for a moment. He maybe thought he was Packball for a minute.
I want to highlight. I'd like to highlight tonight.
I want to knock someone down and get the kill. Yeah, no, unfortunately not.
No, he almost cost the team the round.
Get him on a gun.
Look at this from Wild.
Get him on a gun.
This is a lot more direct in terms of breaches. You know, we've seen Wild the previous two times. It was always coming in from drum side, sweeping across. This is just open up the walls. You know, this is a little bit strange, considering that they did have a good success the last round. Like I mentioned, using the Monty sweeping across, but maybe if they don't bring the Monty in this time, they don't feel as comfortable with actually sweeping across.
Yeah, it's possible, isn't it?
And
it could be intentional. They don't want to, get caught into doing the same things again and again. They're seeing a little bit of fortune, so it'd be silly to give that away. A couple of kills coming in here, Teb and Kanto. Kanto immediately traded out there, and Leon's got his sights set on a second. What a shot onto Teb. Oh, for a moment when you think this game could be simple, it gets a whole lot more complicated. Fnatic now in the driver's seat, 2 versus 2 though, as things level up very quickly here. Jegs looks as though he's got a bit of information to play off. He's going to try and deny the plant with those Toxic Babe canisters. Leon is below. No real ability to deny that vertically, and Jegs gives himself away. Leon, he's left shooting through the floor in a post plant. could be able to recover Jegs here, but the Bees are going to give him away. It shouldn't be too much of a problem, though. Wild are probably going to allow this and look to try and hold this from outside. Stun's going out to try and buy a little bit of time. A drone getting pinged out there. That's going to give some good information to the Wild players that they can relay across here. On the flip side, it looks like there's no info available for Fnatic. Everyone's checking everything that they can. Jegs picks himself up. One down onto Leon. He's going to leave this 1 versus 1. Jegs has only got a sliver of HP. Nello's got to do it. He's just got to hold on for a few more seconds. Picks up the final 2 kills. Confirms it. Wild. They are going to take a full 3 points out of tonight's fixture.
Oh, massive win. He's jumping. He's happy. He got his win of the UL for the season. Oh my words. I mean, Wild, they looked at what Fnatic were doing in that final round. They seen that, you know, Fnatic obviously went below to retake against, you know, Teb downstairs. And Teb calls out there's 2 below, and they just hit site for all they've got. Deepek tried his best to hold his own, but he can't do it all himself, especially if there's fire going off around him. Bees are getting involved. You know, the plagues of Egypt are just unleashed upon him. What can he do? So I think for Wild, especially on those attacks, they read into the positionings of Fnatic extremely well, and then just went quick against them.
Yeah, it was a beautiful game there from Wild. Now, Fabian made a comment earlier about us being cows or something of that nature. I'm going to throw this one back and say, let's go back to the 2 silly geese on the desk, because there was a big hoo-ha at the start of this one about Wild and finding their first win. They appear to have found it. Congratulations to them. We're going to send you over to Anne, Fresh, and Fabian to round out the show.
Thank you so much, Ollie and Demo. And yes, we have to look no further. Wild have picked up their very first win and their very first points as well in Europe League 2024. 3 points. What's going on here?
Just patting my silly goose on the head.
Oh.
Yeah, we just like the dwarves in the Lord of the Rings in Moria. We dig too deep and too greedily, and we found the Balrog.
We manifested it.
Yeah,
really were the geniuses.
We are the reason Wild won that game. They wanted to prove us wrong. That's it.
Yeah, do you know what? Like, it hasn't been good. And we've got to preface that. It hadn't been good for Wild.
Not at all.
There really were no positives. Today it was good. They started Skyscraper defense. They got themselves a 3-3 split, which isn't actually that great, to be honest, on Skyscraper defense. Thought Fnatic did a good job on their attacks. But Wild's attack specifically, to come out of that, to come and win 4 attacks, was excellent. And I think it was always a matter of time before Wild were going to stop trying to play traditional, and we're going to go back to the Wild that we know and love, that had creativity. I'm seeing direct takes with Monty particularly, especially behind the Monty, but also with Glass, Grim, Deimos, using these funky operators to, I'm not going to say the word cheese, but to play only direct and to play behind a Monty, and it forces that team play. That's what had been missing, and I'm glad to see it.
But I don't know if they only forced constantly directs. I think that they had a lot of variation in their attacks, and they were unpredictable. You said the Monty. Yeah, the Monty is a big part of this, but it wasn't only that. Their coordination was very good.
Yeah.
They played really good off each other. The Monty obviously helps with coordination because you can kind of just follow up on him and then place players around the map, which Skyscraper is a very easy map to spread out your players on. I think that they looked like a very different team. They were shooting back today, which we haven't seen from them before. And just overall, they brought more things. They tried different things. And honestly, they looked good today.
I also think they had good ways of dealing with problems, right? Of course, you had the Monty that really helped them there, but then when they saw in previous rounds, like, hey, for example, someone's downstairs T4ing us or putting pressure on us downstairs, oh, we'll send someone down there next time we play the same bump site and we'll deal with it.
Yeah, so they figured out the win conditions, and that's actually something we have not seen from Wild before in this stage. And it's, honestly, that's one of the, like, we don't talk so much about win conditions as basics, but it is truly one of the most basic things. How do we win the round, and what do we use to do so? And they had one for almost every single bomb site that they played in defense. Defense didn't turn out great, they didn't. But their attacks, the win conditions they had in attacks, they had different all the time.
Yeah, there was, I was just thinking back then, there was a huge clutch on the defense there. When Teb got that huge 4K, and realistically, Fnatic should have won the round, should have been putting themselves 4-1 up at that point, and it was 3-2. Big turning moment, I think, there. And Wild really probably got a lot of confidence out of that. And, like, the win condition stuff as well. They got behind, and they knew the right reactions of what they wanted. They knew as soon as they spotted 2 players below on that very last round, right, cool, that means site's open, so we'll go and hit site. I really can't fault them.
And sometimes it feels good to be proven wrong because we weren't expecting this from them.
No.
And that's why it's so good to see that they actually had it in them, because we want to have a more even league. That's like, we don't really care who wins. Obviously, I'm always going to prefer G2 in one way, but in others, I don't really care who wins. But it's nice to see that everybody has that in them, because we don't want any team to be run over. We don't want to make fun of a team, and we don't want to look for only negatives. And today, Wild proved us wrong, so now we can actually start looking at those positives, and we can start having expectations on them.
Another really big positive was one player that helped them win their 6th round, their first points. We're talking about Lolo.
Yeah, Lolo has been around for ages, but he's not really gotten his shot in Tier 1 for, I don't even know, 2 years, 3 years that he's been around and like looked at as a quality player. Today, he stepped up massively. That clutch, I think it was round 11, 1-on-1 after getting C4 with his teammate. It's so important that you have people who keep their cool, and you saw how much it meant to them that they got that clutch because they knew they were one step closer to winning that game.
We, of course, get to speak to a member from Wild now as well after their first victory in Europe League, and we should have Teb on the line joining us. Good evening. Your first win in Europe League, this stage, it must be such a big relief.
I mean, feels good, finally. Has been a really long time since we won the last game in the league. So, yeah, it feels good.
Teb, what do you think have been, I guess, some of your struggles so far in EU League? Because we can't ignore the fact that you haven't won a game yet. Obviously, congratulations today. But what do you think the reasons have been that you're in this position or have been in this position?
I mean, like, we had to rebuild everything. And obviously, like you saw, we took different players from different teams, from different playstyle. And to be honest, at the moment, we are still like struggling to understand what is our identity, like what we should do, what we shouldn't do, what works, what people like, what people don't like. And I think it's a long process because it takes a while, and at the same time, there are good teams with good players that are improving, and like obviously, it's one of the best league in the world. So, yeah.
Is that what today was about then, I guess? So you played Fnatic on Skyscraper, but we couldn't help but notice, like, particularly on the attacks, you played behind a lot of Monty on the shields, and then also played a lot of, like, direct site takes rather than trying to overcomplicate things.
Yeah, I mean, that attacks, like, we're working since a while now in Scream, so we just took the risk to put them in front of Fnatic today. We know that direct always work better in official than in Scream, because in Scream everyone like just run at you, run outside and kill everyone. In official they're all scared, so yeah. Plus, like, I wanted to say, like, we changed IGL 3 times.
Really?
Yes.
Who's been your IGLs then?
Now I'm me.
It's you.
Before
Okay.
Before me was Nelo. Before Nelo was Factful. So like, it's been a little bit a struggle this season. And I wanted to say also that today we knew we were not gonna lose because Zeus has never lost against Leon Gates. So we wanted everyone to know that was really important.
It's also really good to have that insight on what's been going on for you and your team in the last few weeks. Now, looking towards the future, how do you feel like it's going to look for Wild?
I mean, I hope like we keep working good, because like in Scream, we're having like good results. The problem that we face was like individual performance, that today finally like everyone showed up. So that's the only thing we have to work on, individual performance, because if everyone shoot back one more time, like, you win one more round.
Sounds like a very easy game in that sense, but anything you want to say to the fans to end of today?
No, but thank you to all the Wild family that supported us, even through like we lost every game so far. So thanks to them, and thanks to the guys that follow us individually, Croatian people, Italian people, Finnish people, North Ireland people that are not much, and obviously German. So thank you.
Awesome. It was great to speak to you. Great to hear of everything that's been going on. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy your evening.
One more thing.
Go ahead.
Fabian, I'm not a baiter. You are.
Ooh, shots fired. Okay, we're going to ask Fabian about his opinion on that. We'll let him speak. But thank you so much for your time. It was great to speak to you, and we hope to speak to you again soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good night.